5 most unusual ways people solve difficult problems. Number 5. In order to ensure that penguins aren't destined to become extinct, scientists need to regularly monitor population movements. However, whilst this wouldn't be easy with most animals, it's even trickier with penguins. Because of a variety of reasons, it's hard to track them from a plane, whilst the traditional method of using trackers has been found to be having the adverse effect of killing them off. But the scientists have had help tracking their movements. By making use of high-quality satellite imagery, British scientists have been monitoring the travels of king penguin groups by looking for telltale brown guano marks on the ice, left behind by mating colonies that often spend up to 10 months in the same spot. Using this method, researchers have identified an additional 10 colonies of penguins previously unknown to conservationists. Number 4. In the 1990s, Houston Airport was being besieged with complaints about the amount of time that passengers had to wait to retrieve their bags from the baggage claim. Several years before, they'd tried to solve this problem by hiring extra staff to manage the transfer of baggage, all to no avail. Despite the wait time being brought to within the industry standard of 8 minutes, the complaints persisted. Eventually, the frustrated management hit on a simple solution: move the baggage claim hall further away from the terminals. An analysis of the airport's layout showed that it only took an average of 1 minute for passengers to travel from the planes to the baggage claim, nowhere near enough time for the baggage handlers to unload the plane. Passengers now had to walk 6 times longer to retrieve their luggage, which reduced the amount of time they were waiting once they got there. Underhanded? Maybe. Devilishly clever? Yes. Number 3. Over 60 years ago, a U.S. military cargo shipment arrived on the island of Guam, carrying supplies and an unexpected stowaway: a brown tree snake. Although that might not seem like a disaster, for the island of Guam it was. The snakes reproduced at a seemingly exponential level, and because the island wasn't host to any predators of this snake, they were able to thrive unhindered. As a result of their arrival, several species of animal and bird unique to Guam have been rendered extinct. The populace suffer regularly from power outages caused by snakes interfering with the power cables, and the military has been forced to screen each flight off the island in the hope of preventing the snakes from invading any other islands in the South Pacific. But in 2012, scientists started back against this plague. How? By attaching parachutes to mice corpses, poisoning the bodies with the pain-relieving chemical acetaminophen, and airdropping them all across the island. The idea is that the snakes would eat the mice and, thanks to the effects of the drug, fall into a coma and die. It might sound like an idea out of a Tom and Jerry episode, but strangely, it appears to be working. Number 2. No matter how much futuristic gadgetry we stock our spacecraft with, things will always go wrong in a spectacular way. Take, for instance, the disaster on board the International Space Station. One of the 4 units responsible for distributing power from the station's solar panels failed, leaving the station with 1/4 less power. The crew on board donned spacesuits and attempted to fix the problem using some of the aforementioned gadgetry. However, they ran into a problem. Metal shavings had accumulated around the bolt attached to the broken unit to the station, making it near impossible to detach and replace the unit. But days later, the crew unveiled their solution. They had attached a $3 toothbrush to a metal pole and, using this alongside a can of nitrogen gas, they were able to scrub away the majority of the shavings, thus allowing the faulty unit to be replaced with as much ease as is possible whilst floating around in space. Number 1. During World War II, Germany waged a massive bombing campaign against Great Britain in a vain attempt to destroy both the Royal Air Force and the country's will to fight, thus clearing the way for an invasion. One of the planes used by the Luftwaffe was the Dornier 17, a medium-range bomber with all the maneuverability and speed of a jet fighter. Despite a force numbering in its hundreds, however, it was thought that no Dornier 17 survived the war. That is, until one was found buried in a sandbank by a diver off the coast of southeast England. However, the plane was built with aluminum, a material which corrodes badly in seawater. Without a solution, should the team be able to get it out of the water, it was unlikely that it would last even a short time before falling apart. Scientists at the Imperial College of London, however, have figured out a way to halt the seawater's corrosive effects, using lemon juice and water. After testing this mixture on a small piece of plane already salvaged, the mixture was found to be capable of both cleansing the metal and halting the damage of the seawater. So, as a result, after carefully retrieving the plane from the bottom of the ocean using a crane and barge, the two main pieces of the plane were stored in 2 tunnels, where they were blasted with this lemon juice mixture for 8 hours a day for 18 months, until it was stable enough to be placed on display.